Trend and stops. This Hawkeye indicator is really the engine room of the whole Hawkeye suite of indicators and takes into account all our trading rules and particularly what the volume is doing. Well, first of all, let me just explain it to you and show you what can be done with this indicator. First of all, you can see that when it's in an uptrend, it goes green. When there's some congestion, it goes white, and then it continues on in its trend, and vice versa. When it's in a downtrend, it goes red. Then there's some white congestion, and on it goes down. Now, there are some things that we can do with this. We can actually change the trend speed. And the trend speed we set to C, to conservative. That is our normal default, and I would really recommend that that is the speed that you use. If you want to scalp or go faster for scalping, you can change it to A for aggressive or N for normal. But look at what happens. You suddenly see there it went short, because it swung through its stops and it changed. So there's always a payoff. The faster you want to make the trend go, the faster it swings, and it also becomes less stable. So we always suggest that you leave it set to C for conservative. So let's go back and put the C in there. And you can now see that it holds itself through that movement and carries on. Now we have to tie it in with our volume, which I will now put on, and I will describe the volume indicator in another video shortly. But what we do as far as our stops are concerned, our stops become dynamic with volume. So when we start here, our stop is the solid line, which we call the crash barrier. When it comes to red, we then move our stop to a stop on close underneath the Hawkeye cross, that little cross, or a touch of the crash barrier, which is the solid line. And when it goes back to green, we then blow our stop back out to just a touch of the barrier. So you can see it's pretty dynamic as it moves up. So as it's moving up to the top of the market here, you can see that it's pulling itself into a close underneath the stop. In fact, it's riding itself through this congestion period and hasn't stopped itself out yet. But your stop would be a close underneath the cross or a touch of the crash barrier. The other thing that we can do is we can say, okay, once we're in a trend, why don't we leave the trend speed to conservative, but pull the stops in? So to pull the stops in, I'm saying that after 7 bars, why don't we pull our stops in to aggressive? So now let's see what happens. So I just put A on into there, and that means that after 7 bars, in a conservative trend, the stops are then going to be moved to the aggressive situation. So now you can see, as this trend went up to the top here, and what I said to you was, okay, we were still in conservative riding through this congestion, you can see that we have closed underneath our stops and been taken out. You will also note that down here it closed underneath, so again you could have been taken out of this trend. But you have the flexibility to make that whatever you like. You could say after 14 bars, for example, let's pull our stops into aggressive, and in this instance it missed that totally and went up. So this is a user-defined input that you can have, and it tightens itself up as you're going back down through trends. So if a trend is getting extended, you might well be advised to change the stop to aggressive so it tightens itself up. The other thing that's in the trend is, if you like, what we have is a 7-bar progress. And let me just put that on. So we just go on for there. And you will see that what happens is that after 7 bars in a trend, we get a big dot that comes up. This is 7 bars after the congestion period, 7 bars after that congestion period. And that really is to alert you to say, hey, are you happy with this trade? Is everything going right? Do you think that you should be doing anything to it? So it's really an audit for you to pull in or leave off whenever you so wish. Finally, to tell you what makes this go green is that the volume has to be green. The close of the bar has to be in the top 50% of the range of that bar, and the dot, the Hawkeye trend dot, has to be greater than 2 dots previous. That's all built into the algorithm for the Hawkeye trend and stops.